Yeah, so as mentioned, my name is Groot. I'm sure you're all thinking it. Yes, it's true. I am Groot. The topic here we're to talk about today is SolarWinds backup. It's a, I guess let's start with the question why. Why did SolarWinds get into this? Well, the feedback we received from the market in terms of some of the internal customer surveys we heard was the big challenges around this topic are cost and complexity from an internal IT perspective. Out in the world, of course, we know that security, disaster recovery, availability, all these things are very, very important. So just to touch on a few points, and we got to be very compressed here, so I think if you do have any sort of corner case questions, let's just save those for lunch because it is kind of difficult to get through so much. But I wanted to highlight some of the ways that I guess are unique or different about what we're doing. So two of the things from a high-level business perspective that we're trying to achieve is, first of all, to deliver value back to the business. So for the topic of security and the topic of just the safety of organizations' data is a mandate that's coming right from the top now. This isn't an afterthought anymore. This is well aware. And the second theme is how do you delight users? So, traditionally, backup has been a collection of you have to buy software and then you have to buy storage and then you have to buy other software to get it off-site, or you have to get it onto a tape and get it onto a truck and all that complexity. So we asked, how can we simplify that whole process? So and starting from the principle of the 3-2-1 backup strategy approach, which is saying that good backup is where you've got 3 copies of the data, two different media, and 1 copy is offsite at least. Oh. Okay. All right, so diving into that then, how do we achieve that and how exactly does this work? So the first principle to know is that this technology was built from the ground up to be a cloud first, or back when we started originally, it was built to be a backup over IP was the terminology. So it's been designed from the ground up to deduplicate, compress, all at the block level to be as efficient as possible at protecting large data sets over small wires in short periods of time. The architecture is such that there is a console or a management layer that is hosted by SolarWinds. So as a user, when you log into the trial, you're able to access immediately, and you start to deploy agents to whatever servers or potentially workstations that you want to be protecting. So there's the console level. That's what we're looking at here on the screen, and we'll go into the agent in just a minute. And then there's a third piece of the equation, which is called a recovery console. And that's an application that allows you to, in real time or in a continuous basis, to be able to recover any server to a different location onto a Hyper-V or a VMware environment or Azure, whatever may be the case.
Would that allow end users to recover their own files too?
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah, so...
And where does that recovery console run?
On the destination of where the recovered server would sit. So like that's the standby image of a server that would be ready to bring up in a very short period of time. It would sit on that destination.
I don't understand.
But let's pause on that one because I'll come to it later if time permits.
But the critical question is the management console is software as a service and runs in the cloud. And is the recovery console also in the cloud?
It's monitored in the console, so I can bring up the status of all recoveries. But there is an agent that's deployed on the where that needs to be configured.
When some idiot with a backhoe rips the cable to my internet connection out, I can still perform a restore, right?
Correct. If you've got the data local to restore.
Yeah. Well, assuming.
Yeah. Or
okay.
Or if you've done that proactively, which is what that recovery console.
Yeah, I've seen the mistake of yes, and the console's in the cloud.
To be honest, recovery is probably the most important part of any backup tool. So, but the process of recovery in this situation where my wires have been cut and I don't have a pre-staged image anywhere is to restore my restore the install an operating system, put the recovery console on it, and then do the recovery. Is that what you're saying?
No, the agent is there's an agent that's running that does both backup and restore on the production environment. Just give you one sort of brief overview. So the idea here with the monitoring perspective is there's a very easy way to identify exceptions very quickly. That's listed here at the top, so you can get an overview of hundreds of backup jobs in one view. There's then a device level view, so these are all the actual devices out there. A 28-day view, so for any particular device, you can look back and see, oh, why is this one orange back here? Well, that was on January 31st. Oh, now I understand. But we're okay because the last 28 days were green, so that's not a big concern. And all of these details can be customized so that if you want a particular piece of information, like let's say storage location, you can just add in a column and be able to then drag and customize that as you choose. You can save all those views so that you have them over here on the left side, so every time you come back, you get the exact view you want. So if you're covering, you want to see a recovery view of how the recoveries are going, for example, I can see here's 3 devices that are set up to be running recoveries. We can see exactly when the last recovery was completed, and even down to the point of verifying that that machine is bootable with the details around that. So,
how do you verify it's bootable? You're just looking for a screenshot?
yeah, and it provides some more details about the what's going on with the services.
Okay, so the event log. So actually, is this tied into NPM in any way?
Not
Or
today.
Orion?
Not
No.
today.
But
So
it's
the
a
agent
great
then-
idea.
The agent then, if I pull that up, so if I click on any particular piece of workload that we're protecting, so let's say there was one with a problem or one that we were concerned about in terms of the duration of a backup or something like that, we can very quickly pull up a detailed view of exactly what's running with the backup. An interesting point is the difference between the process size of the data and the amount that's transferred over the wire. So the data, one copy of the data is always going remote. So this is a convergence because we provide the storage and the software in this occasion, or in this situation.
So you're selling this as an appliance?
No, the storage is remote. So we're providing the hosted storage
Okay.
and the local, and the software.
I can have an on-site repository, right?
You can, yes. So let's open up the client. So this is the same interface that we would see as if we were on the local machine and we opened up the agent there. We provide the exact same view available over HTTPS. With respect to that local cache, you can configure a local copy. So for some workloads, let's say it's a very mobile piece of like workstation, you don't want to have a local backup because you're going everywhere in the world. So sending over the wire is great. For more stationary workloads that are important, you want to have that restore cache so that you're recovering at LAN speed instead of WAN speed. So that's available here, and it is very, it doesn't require anything fancy. It's easy to configure. And in fact, in terms of time to value, one of the things internally that we ran into was like a project was going to be delayed for 3 weeks because there wasn't hardware available to start expanding out a backup project, and the answer was, well, why would we wait? We can just deploy this today, at least get a good copy initially, and then when the hardware frees up and is available for that local copy, we can just connect it here, and all that data will be synced up locally, and then we've got a good backup. So in terms of the general sort of levels that you want to get through, deployment is objective number 1. How are we doing for time here? We're down to 1. Okay, so I'll just highlight real quickly. Profiles can be set up so that you've got standards and policies across all your devices for your data sources, schedules, and also that local speed vault. Once those profiles are set up, then you can automatically deploy across one or many devices. So a simple script is available. So you can use whatever software deployment tool you wish to bring that out there. So scaling this out to hundreds of machines at the same time is very straightforward. And then, as I touched on from a recovery perspective, if the operating system is still running, the restore is it's really, really efficient. You can get as granular as you like, or you can bring back an entire SQL database very easily. And the interesting thing about what this software does, because it is all the same intelligence that was built into creating this very efficient backup experience with very small backup windows, we apply all the same intelligence to the restore. So that means in the case of, let's say it's a SQL database and something's gone corrupt in it, generally 95% of that data at the block level is still residing on that production machine, and you only need 5% to bring it back to that consistent state at an earlier point in time. And so we only move that 5% to put it all back together, and so that compresses all those recovery situations.
Well, I had a
And then-
question, but Stephen's got the microphone.
The last thing, I got a lot of people staring at me for time checks here. The last thing I just want to point out that's also very interesting is a lot of, or what we do from a full machine recovery perspective, so recovering a full physical machine or a virtual machine, is we actually create that VM. This is a file level backup that we're doing, and that creates a lot of efficiency. But when we recover, we actually take that file level backup and we write the full VM and then present it as something that you can launch in your hypervisor, which is, again, another distinctive point, and it works really well.